Happy New Year. In today's video, we're going to go over all the exciting vehicles and announcements coming from the Korean automakers. If you missed my video yesterday, I talked about all the cool things coming for the Japanese automakers. You guys seem to really like that. And to be honest, just between Kia, Hyundai, and Genesis, we might have more product coming down the hatch in 2025 than what do we at? What do we have? Like 6, 7 Japanese automakers in the United States. There's more coming from the three Korean automakers with new product than the Japanese automakers. I'm almost certain of it as I'm looking at this. It's really close. So that's why, to me, I'm excited to make this video because the Koreans never stop innovating. They never stop refreshing and redesigning their products, never stop making things better. They learned very well from the Japanese and their Kaizen mentality. They've taken a more modern approach to the Japanese slow and steady rate of improvement, and the Koreans do it seemingly at twice the speed of the Japanese. All right. So anyways, what do we have coming down the hatch? Well, we're going to start with Kia. All right, Kia in 24, I don't remember too much happening for them. Yes, we had the K4, the replacement of the Forte happen, and we have the Carnival Hybrid, which I cannot wait to test out with my family. But outside of those, nothing's really coming to me. I'm sure you guys will remind me in the comments, but 2025 is just like I have about 10 vehicles to talk about here. It's just hard to explain. But Kia, here we go. Starting with the Sportage. The Sportage is getting a refresh. You can see the updated styling at the top of the screen. It's got a new interior design as well. Available 10-inch head-up display, dual 12-inch screens. The hybrid has been updated. I think it's got about 4 more horsepower. The plug-in hybrid's got like 7 more horsepower, but they're really the same powertrains as the last generation. So not anything cutting edge. It's a really nice refresh, and this is going to do really well for Kia. It's their best-selling vehicle here in the United States. And I just want to take a look. These interiors. I want to take a look at these interiors real quick. It looks very Kia to me. Unlike Hyundai, they have a little bit more hard edge on the interior, but there's no mistaking the interiors of the Koreans for anyone else. They really like these dual displays here. And Kia especially likes having this rotary dial for drive select. And this is the plug-in hybrid model we're looking at. I typically don't recommend the plug-in hybrids on Hyundai and Kia, at least with their current generation. And the reason is that they cost significantly more. Unless you can get like a tax credit from your state or something, it just doesn't make a lot of sense because they cost a lot more. They don't have hardly any more performance, and they don't have that much EV range either. All right. So while you do get more horsepower, it's nullified by the extra weight of the vehicle. So they're just not quite there yet. Will be soon. We'll talk about their next gen, maybe hybrids in today's video, but they're just not quite there yet in terms of the efficiency of Toyota's plug-in hybrids, but it'll get there. All right, so moving on from the Sportage, that's coming in 2025. The EV9 GT also coming in 2025. I don't know why you need a family hauler to do 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds or faster. But Kia, that's not stopping Kia from hitting that niche. 501 horsepower, electronically controlled suspension for the first time on a Kia SUV. Makes me wonder, was the Kia K900, did that have an electronically controlled suspension? I'm thinking so. Exclusive exterior and interior design. Yes, this front bumper is far more aggressive. We have bigger brakes here as well. And it'll be coming with the NACS port. All right, the Tesla charging standard, or the North American charging standard. So EV9 GT, I mean, here's the thing. I don't typically go fast. And when I say fast, even if I'm in a V6 powered minivan, I don't go fast with the family on board. They're going to get sick. So anyways, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me from a family man perspective. But I'm sure there are people who buy EV9 or will buy EV9 GTs without a family. All right, that's just the way it is. I see a lot of family haulers with just old people driving them here where I live. The EV6 for 2025 also is getting some updates like the Ioniq 5. It's got a larger battery now, around 84 kilowatt hours. Yep, up from about 77 kilowatt hours. So that'll give you maybe 10, 15 miles of range. They're saying about 319 miles of range, but again, that's not highway range. That's kind of combined range. Over-the-air updatability is awesome. It will be built in Georgia. Not the EV6 GT. That will probably be built in Korea, would be my guess. Not so sure if I'm sold on the styling here, but it's definitely more in line with the Star Map headlight, daytime running light designs that we have on current Kia products. So that's cleared some of the things that were at the LA Auto Show, but this is one of the most exciting vehicles I'm ready for. This is a K4 hatchback. I think the design is beautiful. I love the front end. I think it looks super aggressive and sporty. We don't have full details on powertrains that I'm aware of. I don't think it's coming with a manual. A manual would make this so much better. This is going to come likely with the 1.6 turbo, but how these vehicles, at least a lot of them are tuned nowadays, is for emissions regulations. And so they're really laggy. The throttle response, you pretty much have to drive them in sport mode exclusively to get it to drive somewhat like you would expect it to. But they hit a home run with the design, and I sure as hope that the K4 hatchback here is going to be fun to drive, but I'm not going to get my hopes up. It is sure pretty to look at. We will get a redesigned Telluride, and stay till the Palisade. We'll talk more about this new brother of the Palisade when we go over Hyundai here in a little bit. But yeah, new redesign here. It's going to sell like hotcakes, like it already does. We'll see a new hybrid on this. It's going to be great. I think the V6 is probably going to get killed off, though. Sorry to burst your guys' bubble, but excited for the new Kia Telluride. It's going to be fantastic. All right, so I guess those are like the set in stones coming in 2025. Kia has a ton of global product as well, and we're not entirely sure when or which models are going to make it here, but this is a lot of fun for me. I love the conjecture. So we have the EV3, small electric vehicle. This is the one I really want. It could, in theory, replace something like the Soul or the Nero. But there's also this model. Now, these models were debuted at, this is the EV4 sedan, which I think is really ugly, but that's just my personal preference. These vehicles were debuted or at least shown at the LA Auto Show in 23. And it was a surprise. I was at the LA Auto Show and I was done filming. I was tired for the day. And then I heard that these vehicles were there. And I didn't get a chance to go ahead and focus or feature them on the channel for you guys. But this is a Kia EV3, by the way. I think it looks awesome. Looks like a mini EV9, right? Hopefully we get word on production versions of these. And if and when they come to the United States. There's also this model, the EV5. The EV5 is definitely a shrunken down EV9. It almost looks identical to it from the proportions, right? But it's obviously smaller. It's made in China, I believe. I could be wrong, but I wouldn't be surprised if they also start making it in Korea. This is kind of the mid-size crossover that's popular, or the compact crossover that's very popular segment here in the United States. And to not have this here is a bit of a head scratcher. The EV9 may have been introduced first for CAFE and EPA reasons. That's just a guess though. But this thing, it's very techy. It looks great. I think it would sell well here. It would probably sell better than the EV9. I would just say that. But we're going to move on to, we already talked about the EV3. The Kia Tasman. 2.5 liter turbo available in some markets. Of course, it's going to be available in, I would assume, Middle East, Australia, Korea, maybe parts of Africa. It's not coming to stateside due to the chicken tax. It's a bummer because our market loves trucks in North America, and this Kia Tasman truck looks bonkers. I still don't know if I like or hate the looks yet. So it's polarizing. It's the wheel arches are just so strange on it. But yeah, this thing is going to do well for them in other markets for sure. And I love that there's tons of different configurations. 4 doors. You have a traditional bed, and then you have more of a utility bed here, a more work for focus bed. Love for the Kia Tasman to be available here, unless they make it stateside, there's no way it's coming. Now, this, you guys know I love vans. And I mentioned the Carnival getting a hybrid in 24. Can't wait to drive that. I'm really, really thirsting for competition to the Sienna hybrid. But we have this. Hopefully I don't want to blow out the speakers here for you guys. But their PBV lineup of electric vans, I sure hope makes it stateside. Now, I was shared by a private source of this vehicle, the PBV5, being spied in Michigan. And I saw the spy shot. It's definitely the PBV5. Why would they be testing it in Michigan? I'm not sure. Unless they were planning to release variants of it stateside, I just don't understand why it would even be being tested here. But it is being tested in North America. It was in camouflage. So we need competition in the 3-row segment. Kia already has the EV9, but as much as I like the EV9, I'd rather have sliding doors. And you could say, hey, the Volkswagen ID Buzz has that, but Kia makes good minivans too, or vans in general. We know Volkswagen does. We know most of the Asian automakers make good vans because in Asia, vans are the VIP machine, but they're also work machines. They're kind of like the Swiss Army knife of the automobile world. And America kind of shuns them for stupid reasons. I would love to see a capable, functional, and accommodating family PBV, purpose-built vehicle. I mean, of course, you could customize it for businesses and whatnot, but this thing would be fantastic to have as a family hauler and potential commercial vehicle here in the States. So they have different sizes. Again, the one I've seen being tested is this one right here, an actual passenger version of the PV5. I can't get their names right. I hope they passenger vehicle or purpose-built vehicle, whatever they want to call these. I understand the reasons for the naming. It's very trendy to do that for electric vehicles, but this thing would be a hot seller in America. I guarantee it. But I actually have a couple other question marks for 2025 for Kia. All right. What about the Seltos? Is the Seltos going to get redesigned? We haven't heard anything about it, but it's on schedule to get redesigned, and it should share maybe the same bones as a Kona. I sure as hope, unlike the Kona, they include a hybrid system, and there's talks over at the Korean Car Blog. There's talks of the new Seltos having all-wheel drive in their hybrid, kind of like how Toyota does their hybrids, for example, a small e-axle in the back. If they do that, I don't see the purpose of the Niro anymore or the Soul. All right, they have a lot of crossover. I know the Soul is very cheap, but the Seltos could replace two vehicles in the Kia lineup stateside. The Soul and the Niro could be gone. And the Niro sales keep going down, which is strange to me since hybrids are so sought after in the current market. So the Seltos, by the end of the year, could absolutely see a redesign, and I would be very, very excited, especially if they had a hybrid version. And I think that's the last housekeeping items for Kia. So we're going to move on over to Hyundai. All right, Hyundai had some cool announcements in 2024. Obviously, we got the new Santa Fe. We had a refresh on the Tucson, a refresh on the Santa Cruz. We had a refresh on the Ioniq 5, and we kind of talked about those updates on the EV6 already. There's this Initium concept. Also, sorry, before I get into the Initium concept, the availability of the Ioniq 5N high-performance BEV sports car is available. But this Initium concept, I'm super excited for because I think it's gorgeous. And it looks a little bit like the Pontiac Aztek of old, except like this is what the Aztek should have looked like. This thing looks awesome. It looks rugged, capable. I know it's fuel cell in concept, but they said this sort of design should be coming. So I expect this sort of design to actually manifest in the next generation Tucson. Now, we just got a refresh on the Tucson, so we probably wouldn't see it until 2027. But I think this is going to be very, very exciting. And this sort of design language won't stop at the Tucson. It should flow into other Hyundai vehicles as well. What else? Oh, yeah, the new Palisade. The new Palisade, so let's talk about this. We'll have the other than the new design, which is striking. It looks kind of like old Land Rover. slash Range Rover. The inside is fantastic, very pillowy and soft. But the exciting thing for me is the new hybrid powertrain. You have the 2.5 liter turbo. I think somewhere around 2 kWh battery, maybe a little bit less. There were earlier rumors about a 3 kWh battery, which is insanely large for a normal hybrid. I think official numbers are about 30% less than that. But the 2.5 liter turbo hybrid should have an 8-speed auto, I believe. It will probably be able to get 35 miles per gallon while having about 330 plus horsepower. So this thing is going to be very popular in the United States, and that hybrid is going to do really well for them, I would expect. And though that hybrid is the optional powertrain, the standard powertrain should be the 2.5 turbo replacing the V6. And those things should be happening for the Kia Telluride as well in 2025. All right. Also, we have, well, speaking of three-row crossovers, this thing will not sell nearly as well as the new Telluride and Palisade brothers. This is essentially the EV9 equivalent on the Hyundai end. This is the Ioniq 9. We're getting big batteries here, bigger batteries, I believe, than the the EV9. 110 kilowatt hours, very fast charging, 10 to 80% in 24 minutes. They're aiming for over 300 miles of range on, I think, the rear-wheel drive variants of this. And it might be on some all-wheel drive variants as well. So I'm excited for the Ioniq 9 relative to the EV9, and it's a cool-looking SUV. I don't know what else to say about it without driving it, but I have a good idea what to expect because the EV9 was one of the best. Actually, I think it was the most surprising and best EV that I drove last year, the EV9 from Kia. So the Ioniq 9 is just going to also hit it out of the park like the Kia EV9. And unlike Kia, Hyundai's potential lineup next year isn't quite as clear to me. I mentioned like 10 products just on the Kia side, but you guys know I like minivans. I hope the Staria makes it stateside. There's a hybrid variant of it. I know they're working on an EV variant or potentially an EV variant. The Staria is super cool. You guys might think it's a dust buster, and I'm okay with that. It reminds me of the old minivans of the 80s and 90s. And the huge windows in here is just one of the big strengths of a minivan. Big windows, sliding doors, huge cargo and passenger capacity. The Staria would be a star stateside. Look at this thing. It's so dorky looking that I absolutely love it. I don't know why the images aren't pulling up, but it is pretty darn cool, and maybe Hyundai can sneak it into the United States. But outside of that, I honestly don't know what would be coming for Hyundai in 2025. We have the Ioniq 9, the new Palisade, possibly started. This is just my pipe dream. But let me know what you would want to see from Hyundai. Now, Genesis, there's more cooking on Genesis seemingly than Hyundai. Now, in 2024, the beloved G70 entry coupe got discontinued, and that includes a shooting brake variant for other models. We also saw the GV80 Sport Coupe come in 2024. In 2025, we'll also get the refreshed. They say newly redesigned. The Koreans like to say redesigned when it's a facelift or a refresh. The design is very similar here compared to the previous model. Redesigned bumpers, I guess you could say. They've also updated the headlights to kind of match like the G90's more fancy headlights. It's a beautiful SUV. It's one of my favorite SUVs. They're also updating the fully electric GV70. It's going to have NACS standard now. It will be built here in the United States, I believe in Alabama. The GV70 electric where it currently is. It's also getting a bigger battery for the GV70 electric. It's one of the best electric vehicles I've driven. It's just really expensive, and its value drops very, very quickly, like most EVs, unfortunately. But this thing also, like they've done like some like fine tuning. So The charging port door has an electric motor now. It also has a heating element. It has a new light so you can see at night. So that's great. The 2.5-liter turbo and the 3.5-liter turbo, twin turbo carry over as well, which are also both fantastic powertrains. I honestly prefer the base 2.5-liter over the twin turbo V6 because even the base 2.5 turbo is really, really quick. And if I was getting the twin turbo V6, I don't know, maybe I'll just get the electric, but that's just my opinion. On the GV70, it's good that it's getting some refreshes. We will be getting a new flagship. This is the Neoloon concept. This should be on an all-new platform, electrified platform, not the eGMP. So next-gen platform here. The doors open up, coach style, swiveling seats. This thing is just insane. It's a new flagship. It's going to be trying to get Bentley drivers. I mean, it's very Bentley looking to me. And it should have excellent efficiency, excellent power, insane noise isolation. It's going to be elite luxury. This should be called the GV90 in theory. And hopefully it comes in 2025. Of course, it would have the NACS standard for our market. And I'm sure it'd be built in Korea. I don't see this thing being built stateside. When you have this much luxury on the line, I would assume that that you would have your most skilled and proven artisans and craftsmen working on it, just like how Lexus builds their flagships in Japan. I would assume the Koreans would do the exact same thing. I mean, you could say the Germans do that too on their flagship models. All right, so very, very excited for the Neoloon GV90. The GV60 should be getting a refresh. It's just kind of like the EV6 and the Ioniq 5 got a slightly bigger battery. We should be getting maybe slightly different headlights, slightly different front bumper design. I really like the GV60. The problem with the GV60 is that it feels so similar to an Ioniq 5, and the Ioniq 5 is just it's like 95% of the same vehicle for like, I don't know, 60 to 70% of the price. So I personally like the Ioniq 5. It's probably my favorite mid-sized / compact, whatever, crossover. And that's the problem with the GV60. It's just not, there's just not enough there to convince me over the Ioniq 5. But maybe it is for some people. But maybe they can also update it enough, give it enough features or tech to move the needle over Ioniq 5. Also, there will be the Magma series, liquid hot magma coming, which is their performance brand, their BMW M or Lexus F. But it will be, in theory, on electrified only vehicles. This vehicle right here is, I believe, a hybrid, if I remember correctly. But this is just a concept. But we will be seeing Magma G80, Magma GV80, Magma GV60 is what it's supposed to debut on. So that should be coming this year. Think of it as using Ioniq 5N technology, but with more luxury. So this thing's going to be an absolute missile. I also heard through the Korean car blog that there could be a new entry-level model for Genesis. Now, this would make a lot of sense because the G70 is getting discontinued, and that's their current entry-level model. I have no idea if it's on a new platform. I would assume so. I don't, and also, like, I just don't know anything about it. It's just details are very scant. So that could be coming in 2025, and I would assume it's kind of like subcompact crossover, something like a Kona size, but with, I don't know what, I don't even have a clue what sort of engine they would put in there. 2.5 liter, that'd be way too big for that class of vehicle in theory. We can also talk a little bit about hybrids. Genesis is going back on, at least I'm pretty sure, on their fully electric philosophy. They're supposed to be fully electric by 2025. That ain't happening, obviously. Now, some models will be like the GV90, more than likely, but they're also working on hybrid technology. And think of it more like sport hybrid. Yes, they'll be slightly more efficient. They'll have better NVH. but they should also give you a good uptick in performance. I wouldn't be surprised if they, for example, discontinued the twin turbo V6 for a hybridized 2.5 liter hybrid. Now, I guess also, since I haven't mentioned this, and this would affect all Hyundai and Kia Genesis brands as I start wrapping this up, is that Hyundai is working on an extended range EV technology. And I'll put it on the screen. I don't remember off the top of my head, so I'll have to put it in post. But they have kind of a timeline for when it's supposed to be coming, their extended range. It's an EV at its heart with a small onboard gasoline engine to provide additional range on the highway. In theory, that's not very efficient for highway usage, but it's extremely efficient and cost effective for 95% of your driving, just not road trips. So you really get the benefits of an EV, its acceleration, its smoothness, and then you have that peace of mind with a range extender on there. That should be coming for Hyundai vehicles. Hopefully we learn more about it in 2025. I would assume it's available 26, 27 timeframe. I believe it's debuting on the Santa Fe. And then it should also come into something like the Kia Sorento, which is really closely related, right, to the 3-row Santa Fe. And then an extended range. I wouldn't be surprised if we see it in the Genesis lineup, maybe with bigger batteries, more performance, more output sort of thing. So I'm going to end it there. The Koreans have so much coming in 2025 and beyond. They move at lightning speed compared to any traditional manufacturer. The Chinese are different, right? The Chinese don't have the baggage of any legacy auto or any combustion engines for the most part. But the Koreans move so fast compared to the domestics, the American brands. The Germans move kind of fast, but they don't do it as smartly as the Koreans, it seems like. They don't execute quite as well as the Koreans. And the Japanese move very slow, but the benefit to them is that they don't take any risks, which has a risk is involved as well. If you don't innovate fast enough in today's market, like in China, for example, you might not survive there. Now, the Koreans aren't nearly as dependent on specifically China. They're not as dependent on China as the Japanese as we go into 2025, like all the traditional autos. So like they are sitting fairly pretty right now. They don't have a lot to lose in China. They've already kind of lost the once strong market they had. And they haven't been baking on the Chinese market that much. They focus on Europe. They're very strong in Europe. They're really strong in Southeast Asia and Oceania. They're very strong in North America as well, and obviously in Korea, which is a small market. They have very little impact in places like Japan. But I'm excited. Let me know what you're most excited for. I'm excited for probably, if I had to pick one model I'm most excited for, what would it be? It's probably the hybrid 3-row crossovers, the Telluride and the Palisade. I might be most excited for them out of all the brands and models that we have coming. And possibly, if we get confirmation, a new Seltos as well. That could be pretty exciting with new technology and their new platform, and an e-axle on their hybrid would be pretty cool. I mean, big things coming for Genesis as well. So thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed today's content, let me know. Hey, let me know. And I know not very many of you made it to the end. And if you guys did make it to the end, you probably will just want to see this content anyways. Let me know if you want to see all the cars coming from the American domestic automakers for 2025. I could whip up a video for that, as well as a video for all the cars coming from the German manufacturers in 2025. I could whip something up for that as well. I'll see you guys in the comments. Happy New Year. If you enjoyed the video, always hit the like button, subscribe for more. Peace out.